I just watched it the other day outside.
Outside, like on a projection?
Yeah, it was pretty great.
Must have been pretty dark.
No, it wasn't at all. It was a good projector.
I mean, it must have been dark at night in order to be able to do that.
Yes, it was dark at night.
In the dark of night.
And you don't have to worry about insects while you do that.
We're lucky that we don't have many of the mozzies over here. Although I did get a little,
I wish you were.
Whatever you call it, needled by one the other day. I don't even know what song you're singing.
Neither do I.
It's an NXS song, so that's why I'm the only one who knows it.
There you go.
You're missing out on a little Michael Hutchinson in your life.
I don't know if I need that.
You might. You might need a little sexy in your life.
I'm going to take Dave's advice and listen to Man-O-War instead. Domon probably has a really hearty behind. He's got that strong behind, right? He's just holed up, like petting his preciouses.
Domon?
Captain's cave.
That's Kadir. Kadir is like Claw, the bad guy in Inspector Gadget. And he has the little cat that he's petting. I mean, because he's a ripoff.
It's not such a little cat.
James Bond.
It's good. Let's go.
Welcome back to the Jack of the Shadows podcast, episode 41. As always, I am your host, Eric VC, and I'm joined by my favorite pork chops and applesauce, the VC boys.
Yes. Pork
Say hello,
chops
Dave.
and applesauce.
Say hello,
Pork
Adam.
chops and applesauce. I'll be the sauce.
Yeah, I'll be the pork. I'll be the meat.
This episode,
He's the meat of the sandwich.
Yeah.
we will shock you by starting with our view from Dragonmount before gazing at the lilies of the valley and what shook your willow. We'll move into the world of somnambulist in dreams before figuring out what is going on with the deposed Amerlin in Swance Upon a Time, before glimpsing into the horrific mind of our dark friend Hadnan Kadir in Fear of the Dark. And then we'll wrap up as always with our Copland of the Week and Who Leveled Up.
Who leveled up? I get to say it this time, just because.
Now you do.
Yeah.
I like it.
Right now you do.
Yeah.
You don't get to say it at the end. Right beforehand.
You sounded a little bit like Goofy.
That's the me.
I was miming
No,
Eric.
that's a weird version of Goofy. That's what would that be?
That's
really
the
don't
chef.
know.
That's the Chef
What
Boyardee.
would the
Goofy.
Italian version be? I said Juicy, and that just sounds wrong.
Giuseppe
That was
There you go, Giuseppe.
or Geppetto.
Giuseppe the dog.
Geppetto from
Yeah.
Pinocchio.
Giuseppe.
I like Giuseppe.
That sounds like
Pinocchio.
Goofy. Let's descend from the
It's
great
me,
height and
Mario.
get our view from Dragon Mount. Here I go. I'm gonna win.
Now that song is stuck in my head.
Don't pay attention
Good.
to Luigi. He sucks
no,
anyhow.
it's too
Maudlin?
mellow.
Too sad?
Ba-na-na-na-na-na.
All right.
Ba-na-na-na-na-na.
Oh well, I was doing Mario Kart. You're doing Super Mario Brothers.
Yeah.
That's
Chapter
what was brought up.
25 of View from a Dragon Mount, Dreams of Galad. Adam, I feel
View
like
from a dragon.
I feel like you've been dreaming of Galad because you sort of predicted, or the last time we spoke, you were wondering if
last two
what was
times.
going on with Galad and Egwene.
Yeah, I was.
And here we are. Egwene transports into an area outside of Tel'aran'rhiod that we've only seen once before, right? So she's in this weird world outside of the world of dreams, looking at all these twinkling stars.
I think it's just like another area of it. I don't really know.
But it reminds me of the same.
Know what it is.
It reminds me of the same space that Perrin was taken into with Hopper, where they observed the Forsaken talking.
I think it's like a pocket. There's a pocket within a pocket.
You're playing pool.
Wow, I hadn't thought about
Well,
that. But
it's
yeah,
kind of like
that
it's kind of
would be
like
the
it's
same.
kind of like how in your pants jeans pocket you have your change pocket, which is within inside your pocket.
Okay.
So I feel like it's this
Tel'aran'rhiod
little-
is the small change pocket, and she's in the bigger pocket surrounding the change pocket.
Yes, I
It's
think
the
so.
change pocket.
Do
Yes.
the
Not
Forsaken
often
jingle
used.
when they're in,
Not
when
often
they're in
used.
Tel'aran'rhiod. Right. Well, no, your regular pocket is used all the time. It's the little tiny change pocket.
It holds my
Right,
guitar
that doesn't
picks.
get used by humanity all that much.
Yeah.
Hence Tel'aran'rhiod.
Yeah.
It's the change pocket of the multiverse.
There you go.
I love that.
We're onto something here.
That makes me so happy.
So there Egwene
Although I
is
hate
in the
the
base
change
pocket.
I probably am that one person in society that religiously uses his change pocket.
So then she transports herself to her
You gotta
novice
pick
room.
a pocket or two.
Yeah.
Do you
can
say
pick
that
a
every
pocket or
time you
two.
put yours
I'm
in?
going to now.
Oh,
It's too bad the child
Where's
catcher
my
doesn't appear in that scene.
got to pick a pocket or two.
Right, yeah. He
Right.
should appear
Whatever
in
that
scene.
was.
He's in the
Fagin, the
background.
child catcher.
Fagin
Right.
nods to him over in the
It's-
corner.
It's
What's up?
Luigi. Luigi is the
Luigi's
Fagin
the
now.
child
Logan.
catcher.
You got to
Anyhow.
pick a pocket or two. I'm gonna win. So then she transports to her novice quarters in the tower.
I love this description of just the memory of her being there and the fact that whoever goes into these quarters is going to have to do the same thing that she did, no matter who you are, even if you're a queen. I think it's really cool talking about the fact that they just had to be in there making sure that the floors were white.
Scrubbing the floors like there's something that you can constantly count on from the novices and the accepted, and that is that regardless of the changing of times, the way that they're treated is the same. And Egwene is treated the same as Elaine.
Yep.
And her mother
But with
would have
the
been
changing
treated
of
the
times,
same as
there's
Elida.
It's the
I
same.
wonder if Elida would have treated them all the same.
Probably not.
I feel like she treated...
Well, she would have. She would have treated them all equally badly.
Well, but I feel like she treated Elaine differently than she treated Nynaeve
did.
and Egwene.
Yes.
Yeah, she totally did.
She will treat people in the
She
position
has
of
her
power
favorites.
better.
Yeah.
In the and it's based on status.
Mm.
Her favorites seem to be completely based on
And
status.
the
So,
status
what do you
is all
think-
nothing compared to what she had to do.
What Elida had to do?
Well, everyone else's status is subsequent to how she feels about them at any given moment.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Well, I think her
absolutely.
status is objective. I think if you're royalty, I think she's going to look upon you more favorably than if you're a quote unquote wilder. Those people she's going to detest just automatically.
She had plans for her.
So
Some kind of plans for her. Oh, wait. No, my question was, what type of flooring do you think this is?
linoleum.
No. Do you think it's marble? Do you think it's wood?
I think it's vinyl.
Shut up.
I think the white tower.
It's an honest
is-
question.
It's white, so it's
I
probably
know.
granite.
Ah, it could be what
Marble?
that. It
Marble.
could be what the.
It's marble.
Could be marble.
It's polished marble. It could be. It could
It's a
very,
very
well be
specific.
that it's
very
marble
expensive
without the
stone.
marbling in it.
I'm just
my-
wondering.
My computer.
I just imagine this beautiful, beautiful white room with this gorgeous
with dark
stone.
curtains near the station.
Either what? Yeah, either. I actually thought that it would be. Yeah, no, I thought it would look like the Getty.
Awake in this place where the sun never shines.
Another one I'm missing.
I don't know
Here.
that either.
Bum!
I really don't know
Wow.
what that has to do with
That's
rock
cream.
or stone.
That's cream. It's a song called "The White Room." My
Sorry, I
gosh.
don't know.
That's
I
not the
don't know
part of the song I
Cream's
In
know.
the white room.
That's the part of the
with
song
black
that
curtains.
everyone knows. You pick the
Near
the song.
obscure verse that
Yeah,
no
just
one
don't know the
knows.
lyrics.
Right. Well, I expect you to know the song in its entirety because it's really good.
All I know is the
Anyhow.
guitar part. That's all that mattered. It's Eric
Ah,
Clapton
that's a good chorus.
playing away.
Yeah, I know it's got a lot of wah pedal in it. I couldn't sing for you. The guitar solo. So Elaine also travels to her room in the tower, and then the
It's
two
called
of them
travertine.
and then the two of them meet in
Travertine.
Egwene's room. It's not a travesty. Egwene asks about
travertine is the name of the stone. I remembered that. We'll just pretend I remembered that it's called travertine.
Well done. I have never even heard of that stone before.
it's a
travertine?
really nice.
Could you-
it's a
could you
really
name
nice
us-
stone?
Could you name us where that stone is found and how that stone gets formed?
No.
No. I could tell you that it's a honey
Duh.
color. That's about it.
Well, that's not white. It's a
They're
white
from-
stone. Their floors
They're from
are white.
Bagni di Tivoli. That's
Okay.
where they're from.
Yeah.
Boom. 15 miles east of Rome. Ask me
Egwene.
again.
No, you think you mean
See, I
west
remembered
of
that also.
Ruidian.
Mhm. Right. Egwene asks Elaine about Brigitte, and Elaine says she can't talk about her. The moment that the two share after Egwene understands that Elaine can't break her promise to Brigitte is really nice there, where she recognizes she's not slighted by it. She simply recognizes that she's the type of person that doesn't betray her promises.
Yeah, I like these moments of friendship here because Elaine showed up there to begin with.
Yeah.
She knew Egwene was last week we were talking like she
Well,
was
that's
like,
insightful
oh my gosh,
on
I
Elaine's
hope.
part.
Yeah, it's super insightful on Elaine's part that she picked up on what Egwene was dropping there. So I like this.
This type of understanding, though, would go a long way to bridge the gap between Egwene and Nynaeve. It's funny that these two can reach that sort of middle ground. That's not going to happen between Egwene and Nynaeve. Their relationship is
Well-
so contested.
Yeah. I don't know. I feel like Elaine is good at this stuff, though.
You're right. She is
Elaine's very
good at this.
diplomatic.
So even with her nonsense that has been taking place with Nynaeve, that stuff is...
Are we sensing a
gotten
theme
smoothed
here?
over.
Nonsense with
Yeah.
Nynaeve?
Welcome to Nonsense
That
with
should be like its
Nynaeve!
own topic in our podcast. Nonsense with Nynaeve.
Or just Nynaeve sense. Yeah,
Nynaeve
she's
sense. There you go.
got no sense. She's
She's been
argumentative.
doing better. She's been doing better.
You're right. She absolutely
She
has. Been. We've
has.
seen a lot of growth from her in this book.
Well, I mean, she's just like anybody. She's still got her foibles.
So the two discuss Rand and Nynaeve, and then Elaine says
Yeah, Elaine. I promised myself I wasn't going to bring this up, but how's Rand?
How's
Right.
Rand? How does he look? Is he thinking about me? Does he ever mention me to you?
Remember those Elaine 2 letters.
Elaine 2 letters, right?
Elaine
Yes.
2 letters.
Yeah. Elaine says she and Nynaeve might be chased by Moghedien.
Yeah.
There's the possibility that Moghedien is somewhere in the world of dreams stalking them.
And
then,
guess what?
Do you think she's right, Adam?
Yes, of course she's right.
Egwene tries to find information as to the location of the gathering of the Aes Sedai by heading to the Amerlin's chambers. The number of chairs in the Amerlin's chambers are lesser than they were the last time we were there. What do we think is going on there? It appears Elida is taking out her vendetta against her little inner circle.
Yeah, it seems like she's spending time in there all by herself.
There are still chairs in there. She's still got people in there, but Egwene has noticed that the number of it just keeps decreasing. I think it started out it was 12 or 13, and it just keeps getting fewer and fewer each time she's
Probably
in there.
13 makes sense.
And we remember that Elida, the last time we saw her, which was in the prologue, had decided that she was going to try to exact her revenge on these people.
I think she's probably sending more and more people to penance or just punishing them by being like, well, nope, you can't be in my inner circle anymore.
Yeah.
I'm terrible.
Wait,
It
so
would
when
seem-
Swan... Yeah, it would seem that way.
I think she is. I think she's sending them off to penance because that's what she said she was going to do.
Yeah.
It seems also she has no idea where Rand or Davram Bashir are.
No, she seems very scared.
Many of the
No,
activities.
see, I think you'd have to be aware to be scared. I don't think she has
Well,
that.
she's
Don't you
starting
think
to
she's doing
realize
this
she doesn't know
vendetta
as much
because
as she needs to.
Yeah, because she doesn't trust people, so she's basically pushing everyone out.
I would agree, though. Her arrogance is going to act as a huge buffer against her, sensing any really sort of trepidation. For sure.
Yeah, I trust Gareth Bryn's opinion, and he don't like her.
No.
Galad then enters the room, and she sees Lyanna and Swan, and flees to Emmonsfield. We learn that the story is actually a little more than a year and a half old.
I'm so confused. We keep getting like all these different updates on times. I don't get it.
No, I know, but it always seems like it should be longer.
I think it actually is longer.
It's not.
Not according to Robert Jordan.
Yeah, but I feel like he's contradicting himself continually.
I don't think he is, actually. I think it just seems like this stuff is taking a lot longer because they've, first of all, lived 10,000 lives.
Well, part of our challenge is that we're getting the narrative and it's broken up amongst several different parties. So he doesn't necessarily have to be presenting the narrative of each party linearly in relationship to the others. So we're living all of these different lives, and we don't have any sense of like how long we're with any one of these groups specifically, but a year and a half does seem a little bit short. It seems like we're at least at 2 years.
There's a lot of stuff that's happened
me.
in a year and a half.
There is. It's been 4.5
What's crazy
books.
is that Perrin had traveled. Yeah, Perrin had traveled away, then came back,
and then went back
fought
home.
all the battles,
and in that
won
time,
them,
and in
got
that
married.
time, a couple of the fathers from Emmons Field went and visited the tower, and then returned home.
Oh yeah,
and all of that, including Winter's Night, all of that has happened in a year and a half.
And we've gotten
It makes sense. No, because Fail was talking about when they were getting married that she had known Perrin for a year.
It doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me because when you consider how much time it takes to travel certain places, and
I estimate it takes about 3 months to travel from Emmons Field to Tarvalon. Egwene sees her mom and hears her dad, and then Gawain appears.
Again.
Woo!
Well, no, we had
Jeez.
Galad.
Oh, wait,
We
Galad.
had
No,
Galad
Gawain
before,
appears.
now it's Gawain.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then Egwene's mom gives her a baby boy.
Run away!
And then Egwene finally realizes what's going
This
on and
baby
gets out
boy?
of there.
Well, oh my gosh. So we just get thrown. Oh, wait. No, you thought it was going to be Galad. No, it's going to be Gawain now.
Well, that
that's
does go to
pretty
what we
Gawain.
also discussed
It's
last
been
week.
gaining momentum.
All she's gotten was the information of the fact that Galad sucks now. And she knew that already because that's what Elaine was saying the entire time.
Yeah.
But she has proof of it now.
So
So I just find it interesting.
Well, she doesn't have proof. She doesn't know that Galad is a... Did Elaine tell her that Galad is a white cloak?
No.
No. So she doesn't know that.
Egwene doesn't know that? Wow. That's
Well-
a big miss on my part then. You think I should know everything about these books. So this is a huge turning point then, because she doesn't know that Galad is a white cloak, and she's now thinking more about Gawain. Okay.
So they leave, and then Adam, as you alluded to earlier, Moghedien appears. We've been looking out for this for a while now. So with Moghedien here, we get this flicker thing going on around her. This is the only other instance since the Great Hunt that we've had these flicker moments where...
But the flicker moments in the Great Hunt happened in real life. They didn't happen in the dream world.
Well, that's true, but we have these flickers here in the dream world, and it literally says flicker.
Right.
For Egwene,
You think that's connected to Moghedien?
no.
Oh, okay.
I think it's connected
See,
to
but
people
Moghedien-
who can control Tel'aran'rhiod or have that type of control. And as
Oh.
you've alluded to a number of different times, we know that a woman in white was in the area when Rand had those flickering moments. And
That was
so
me.
well, Dave's also been pushing for that for a while. So if
That was me too.
I don't care
But it was
about
me
you.
too.
No one cares about you.
I've been saying that's been Lanfear, the woman in
Right.
white.
Yes.
Yeah, we thought
who we
that was
also
Lanfear.
know has immense control over Tel'aran'rhiod.
So you think she's somewhere in this chapter that we're not reading about?
No. I'm trying to say that this is analogous to what happened to Rand. So we know that these flicker moments occur by people who have really, really good control over the dream world and can control the dream world to a huge degree.
Mhm.
We know that there was a woman in white in the town when Rand had those flicker moments with the flies. If that was Lanfear, then she
No.
could have caused those moments for Rand in that room.
Yes.
As opposed to those being bubbles of evil, which is what I believe they were, you think Lanfear was somehow altering the existing non-dream world to create that situation to happen?
Well, I think
if that is indeed Lanfear that
I-
we think it is.
Right. My hypothesis is if we try to keep Robert Jordan's world consistent and the use of the word flicker is important in that consistency, then we have two instances of two people who have probably the two best individuals in control of Tel'aran'rhiod, which we also know is a link to a multiverse. It makes sense to me that Lanfear was leveraging some sort of influence on Rand in that moment there in that room.
What are you saying? What two
I think that's a
people
bit
are
of
you
a
talking about?
stretch.
I don't think that that's a stretch. I think this would be the third time, right? It happened one other time.
I feel like something happened
I'm
with
pretty
Matt.
sure there was.
Yeah, he
You
usually
can
would
look it
flicker
up
when they're going
very
through the
easily.
portal
Of course I can.
stones.
Yeah.
Yeah,
The portal
yes.
stones.
It happened when they
Yes.
lived to 10,000 lives.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Which also uses multiple dimensions. And multiple dimensions is sort of Tel'aran'rhiod, is dreams. I mean, this is the whole thing that our kind of in dreams conversations have been getting to, is that this Tel'aran'rhiod world is really a gate to different realities.
I think that's the portal stone.
Well, right. And I want to say Varian has postulated that the portal stones use something like Tel'aran'rhiod, that's what they use. They use those multiple realities to sort of convey people from one place to the other.
Well, that makes sense also with how Lord Luke was, quote unquote, traveling around in that whole world.
And there's somebody who actually does step directly from the physical world into the dream world without any sort of need for sleep as a conveyance. So there is some sort of veil that separates the two worlds, which can be navigated through. So it's possible.
I mean, that's still a great mystery.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Lord,
I don't know what's going on.
You are confusing.
I've just been looking for that word in the use in terms of people bouncing back and forth between realities, which is pretty clear that Rand was doing there in that room. And this is outside of the portal stones. This is the only other time that I've had evidence of it. It's an interesting thought. Whether or not it's true or not, it's definitely something for people to think about. So Egwene eventually does learn from Elaine about Birgitte. Moghedien has had her plans for Lews Therin once before spoiled by Birgitte.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right.
So Moghedien has a specific bone to pick with Birgitte. And now she's aware that she's floating around there in the world of dreams. And, oh, by the way, Nynaeve has sent Birgitte after Moghedien. They want her to hunt down Moghedien. So they've really put this woman in peril, and now Moghedien is aware of her floating around in Tel'aran'rhiod. This does not bode well for this woman in the puffy gold pants.
No, and she lost her boy, too.
They're in the world.
Babe. Nor does she know when she's going to get spat back out into the world.
And then
things aren't looking great for her.
We finally get a moment where Moghedien
swears revenge
against Nynaeve, Elaine, and Birgitte.
What is the benefit of Elaine not telling Egwene about Birgitte now?
Well, it's not about right. Yeah, it's not about benefit.
I know she's.
Oh, that's it. I mean,
that's all it comes down to. It just comes down to she gave her word.
Yeah. Okay. I respect that.
Chapter 26, Sally Dara. Swan and company are on their way to Saladar, though only Swan and Lyanna know where they are heading.
I don't even know necessarily how much Lyanna knows.
Logain is sinking into a depression. Right. Min is now doubting whether Swan knows where she's going or not. But she does, and they find Saladar. That seemed to happen rather quickly, didn't it? Anybody else think, wow, we're here already?
Well, they've been going that way for some time.
Well, we know it's not that long.
Right. It's sometime within a year and a half, is what Adam is saying.
No, I'd say it's weeks.
It feels like weeks, doesn't it? But they've traveled, about a quarter of the continent.
Yeah.
It does seem like a short period of time. It felt really sudden to me. It's funny because Min was wondering whether or not the two of them know where to go. I was thinking, oh, well, they got a long way to get there, so she's really going to question it. And then poof, there they are. But it has been half a book.
Yeah.
It's just that we haven't spent a lot of narrative time with this.
No, we haven't.
How many people do you think are in this town?
Not many, but there is a lot of forest that's cleared.
There are a lot. I would guess there are a couple
people?
of I would guess way more than that.
Well, you think there's that many Aes Sedai?
Well, remember,
it's just the Blue Aja and then some from others.
It's not just right, and some from others. But remember, Min looks around, and it's not just the Aes Sedai. They're their warders. You got the
followers.
You got the Greens who have several warders.
Some accepted, but we know there's not a ton of accepted or novices.
I'm guessing that there's 500 or 600 people here.
Yeah, that's much different than thousands.
It's just absolutely different than thousands. But yeah, maybe.
Yeah, you maybe double think what my initial estimation.
There might be about that many people. So, but
I'm
the sisters aren't
the
doing
power
it
to clear out that forest.
Yeah, that would attract attention, Adam.
I don't think they're using the power to cut down trees.
Not only that, they're right across from White Cloak land. They want to be inconspicuous.
I think their warders can cut down those trees.
What's interesting to me is it has to be far enough away that no one's going to notice it, but it is right by the White Cloaks, like Dave said.
Yeah.
They're on the other side of the river from Amadisha.
Yeah. You know what else was like elbow grease that Lyanna talks about? That there are 107 different kisses and 90-some ways to touch a man's face.
Right. She's a woman who knows her business.
So she reveals that after they get into the inn and meet the Aes Sedai. So they enter the largest inn in the town, and Sheriam and company meet them. And now we know why Sheriam isn't the mistress of novices any longer. She's a rebel. A rebel!
Yeah.
So Swan's identity is tested by the Aes Sedai because she looks so radically different. None of them can believe that this woman is actually her. That's sort of crazy, but we've been prepared for this.
They
for a
seriously
while.
wad her knowledge of everything and anything.
So she goes through a pretty rigorous test. Min is sent to the corner where she sees a silver collar shatter on Edicina's neck. And then we're off to chapter 27, the practice of diffidence. When you saw this title, who did you think this was going to apply to?
Yeah, I thought it would be Swan and Lyanna.
All right. Well,
Lyanna.
it's definitely applying to... Swan is the one who's more challenged by being diffident than Lyanna, though they both could use some lessons. Swan starts off by berating the Aes Sedai for their lack of action against Elaida. Good way to begin.
You are rudderless.
Shiriam agrees that the way that Swan was handled was wrong, that the way that Elaida rose to power was really, really conspicuous.
She says they should never have been tried in secret.
The Aes Sedai agree to protect Swan and Lyanna.
That whole section to me is really annoying. They're all like, yeah, you got the bum shaft.
What can they do now?
And then
She's been stilled.
basically like,
what they can do is try to
for
treat
you.
her a
We
little
can't
better
use
than
you.
they are. They're treating her like she's a nuisance and oh, we're just gonna, you might be useful, you might not be,
Well,
you totally got screwed over by everything and everyone. And
yeah, but
It's the tower, baby. Like, you can't get rid of it. You can take the Aes Sedai out of the tower, but you can't take the tower out of the Aes Sedai.
But let's dig into why it's happening. I mean, you can say it's just the tower. There are Moors that are being buffeted against here. The reason
Moors?
Yeah, they're social Moors.
or norms.
I always thought that was mores. Well, I know. I thought you were talking about the Moors, the location.
The Moops.
No, the location, like
They are having
Yes, absolutely.
They're having a very difficult time dealing with somebody who's been stilled. It makes all of the other women around her who can channel very, very uncomfortable. So that's the elephant that's in this room. On the one hand, you're right. She's been handled completely unjustly. On the other hand, these women can't wait for her to leave because her condition makes them extremely uncomfortable.
And I think it should, because what they're seeing is kind of their own failure. That's not the way they're looking at it.
You're right.
But it's the way they should be looking at it.
That's not the reason why they're uncomfortable. They're uncomfortable more just because of a social norm, which is
not that many women are
steeped
stilled
in a lot of stuff.
Well, yeah, but like I said, not that many women are stilled either. So I don't,
exactly, which makes her, which
so
also
really
makes
know
her
what to do.
a unicorn. So they agree to protect Swan and Lyanna in the same way that you would protect a child, which really is irritating to those two, and understandably so. So Swan's power play is to reveal that she was in charge of the Blues' eyes and ears. And so she tries to use that as her leverage to kind of get into the circles of power. And then Lyanna reveals that she also had a spy network inside Tar Valon,
which no one likes.
I mean, it's the same reason why the police don't like internal affairs.
Internal affairs, yeah.
Yeah, no one likes to spy in their midst, but they're very useful and very important to make sure that things are actually getting done properly. So then Swan claims that Logain told her that he had been approached by the Reds a year before he was captured and suggested to claim himself as the Dragon Reborn by them. And then she goes on to say she doesn't think the Reds were involved with Mazrim Taim. Swan not only wants to take down Elaida, but her second coded hint about the Red involvement with the other men also indicates she wants to take down the Red Aja as well.
She's got a hate on for them.
So then the Aes Sedai reveal to her that they're still considering returning to the tower, but Swan's lie has pretty much changed all of that. The Aes Sedai agree that Swan should keep her eyes and ears. Lyanna suggests that they set up their own tower in exile, which is part of Swan's plan. The Aes Sedai immediately start politicking for who should be the Amerlin, and Swan suggests it should be someone who is not in the tower when she was deposed. Lyanna suggests it should be someone strong in the power. And then Swan goes on to suggest she knows where Rand is.
I'm sorry.
Swan, you think
yes,
Lyanna's
of course it should be
suggestion?
someone strong in the power. Why would you not want it to be
no,
someone strong in the power?
because I think there have been leaders or other sitters that are leaders because of their brains, not necessarily just because they can wield the power.
There have been, but we also know that that's rare.
Probably, yeah.
Well, we know
because of the hierarchy.
We know it's right. Exactly. We know it's rare. So this suggestion,
not amongst the wise ones, however.
This suggestion, you're right, Adam, is a little bit obvious because it's the way that it generally goes. The Aes Sedai choose Karuna and Bera to travel to the Waste and see if Rand is there. So Swan suggests, after her amazing deduction, that Rand is in the Waste, which is a pretty amazing bit of deduction. And so they decide to send 2 greens there. Swan hopes that they'll carry a message to Moiraine for her as well, since she hasn't been in conversation with Moiraine in forever.
Yeah.
And
she just assumed she's there.
She said no rain with Moiraine.
She got that information from, what is it? What? Gatara Marande? What's her name?
Gatara Moroso.
Gatara Moroso.
She keeps popping up that one.
I love it.
She does. She didn't get too specific information from Gatara. And then 2 warders walk in. Arnivar and Newell announce that Garth Bryn is in the area.
Swan got information from Gatara Morosa that the Aiel call themselves the people of the dragon.
Oh, right.
That's a lot of information.
Yes, thank you. So Swan suggests they should send Gareth Bryn away or kill him.
Yeah.
The warders convince...
I like that, or kill him.
The warders convince the Aes Sedai that they need Bryn, and the Aes Sedai realize Swan must have some motive for this drastic measure she's suggesting. So Sheriam makes Swan tell her what happened with Bryn.
Those are some bright women.
I like the warders talk about Bryn and how much they respect this guy.
Oh, the dude knows what he's doing. Obviously.
Yeah. He's one of the great
captains.
Leaders.
The 5 great leaders.
This brings us to the halfway point of this book, chapter 28, Trapped. So Bryn enters Saladar and is taken to the inn by Dromond. Bryn is told that the Aes Sedai have the use of the 4 women that he's looking for, and he'll have to wait until they're done with them to have them. Bryn agrees to wait, but in the meantime, he wants to be able to use Swan as his dog robber and count it against the hours she owes him. Carlinia and Bayonin...
Yeah, he also says if you've had your bottom switched, it does not count unless I do it.
Right. Yeah.
Weird.
That's a weird moment there. It's all about a pair of eyes.
Carlinia and Bayonin, Bryn identifies as a couple of ambitious Aes Sedai, so we have to keep our eyes on them. The Aes Sedai then reveal his criminals' names, and before they can tell him what they want of him, he tells them. So he has a preemptive strike with them. He anticipates what it is they think is going on, and he makes a claim to why they're here and what he thinks they'll want of them. And he's right. So Bryn makes his conditions for creating an army against the tower. Boy, are we heading in a dangerous direction here.
Where did you think this was going to go?
Up to this point...
First of all, you can't have 2 towers. That can't sustain itself.
Yeah, that's the concern. I mean, all the last 2 episodes we've done, we've talked a couple of different times about people talking about how the tower needs to remain whole. This is a radical departure from that.
Confrontation's coming, and it's going to come from both directions. We already know Elida's trying to hunt them down.
We also know that there's a message out there for everybody to come back, as you know, it's sort of an idea of unification.
And knowing everything we know about Elida, what do you think is going to happen when those people come back?
Nobody trusts that. But at the same time, it's been interesting because we've had a couple of different people from a couple of different perspectives, including Moiraine, talk about the importance of the tower remaining whole. This is a schism. Under this action, the tower can't be whole from this point forward until one of these 2 parties is unified. So this is a huge step.
And I would be equally furious like Swan. Because she's right. These people, up until she gets there, up until she gives them this news, which is questionable and its integrity at best, that's the linchpin that it took for them to realize they had to do something. Well, what were they planning to do up until that point?
We talked about how important the status quo is there. and how the unification of the tower, especially during dangerous times like this, is so important.
So why did they leave?
They left because they were understandably pressured. I mean, in the moment when things are going on in the tower, you don't have an opportunity to sift through all of this information.
But these are the Aes Sedai we're talking about. These are the ones that are supposed to be able to do that.
Well, they're not. What this reveals is that they're not all geniuses. They don't have the ability to parse through millions of complex ideas and reach a conclusion at the drop of a hat.
Well, some of the people in the tower did. They chose to stay.
That doesn't necessarily require a complexity of processing information. That just requires the ability to just revert to the status quo. For some people, that's very easy to do. For others, they see something that's happening that they disagree with, and it's clear that these women didn't agree with what was going on. They had to get out of there.
Well, but then what?
Well, they're processing information and trying to figure out, and at the same time, they're trying to juggle. Is there possibly a way for us to reunify? Because if there's any way for that to happen amicably, then that's obviously desirable.
What I wonder is this. How long do we think it's been since Swan's been deposed?
I'd say under a month.
Oh.
I'm saying at least a month.
Yeah, and I'm saying 3 months.
What?
Yeah, I mean...
You think they've been traveling for 3 months?
Yes.
I have no idea. But what I will say this, it's been plenty of time for them to get there, chop down trees, build a place, and then start twiddling their thumbs. What do? Do we reunite? Second of all, do these people not know Elida at all?
Well, that's part of the problem.
How does everybody else know Elida that interacts with them even once?
The struggle that they're going against is Elida and their desire for unification. That is the thing that's prevented something from happening. This idea of dealing with the tower is probably not really something that a lot of them want to immediately start thinking about because it's a very challenging problem. And then the fact of the matter is that they know that Elida is a binary figure. There's yes or no. She's not capable of forgiving somebody who she saw as being against her for pragmatic reasons. So there's a lot that they have to parse through. And at the same time, their default is we want to believe that somehow all of us Aes Sedai are still under the same political structure. The truth that they're forced to face here is really, really ugly. How many other times do we know of in the history of the tower where it's been divided this way?
I don't know that it's been mentioned at
all. And that's 3,000 years. So they're going against 3,000 years of history. It's a difficult decision. It's understandable that it's taken them some time to get through. And also remember, this isn't one person's decision to make. This is all of them. And they clearly don't even have a leader there. There's nobody that's in charge of this.
I understand what Dave's saying, but I also think it's great. I think it's pretty impressive that they've gathered together at this place, a lot of them, and it's unknown to other people up to this point. Yeah. That's a good job on their part.
They're giant sort of frontiers in this world still where people can hide.
Not really, because you have people invading everyone's dreams.
So the Aes Sedai, Bryn postulates his terms and conditions. Swan walks to him and gives him information that reveals that he's on the weaker side of these two battling towers. The Aes Sedai agree to Bryn's terms. The gathering breaks up and the group move into early action. Min is told by Swan to keep Logain from talking to anyone because now Swan has this plan that involves him.
Logain, I'm very fascinated by this individual.
He's a mess.
He is a mess, but Min keeps seeing the crown above him.
Well, and Swan is relying on that to guess that he's going to keep living because he sure looks really close to dying, or at least has up until the last couple of hours.
He wakes up and then he realizes that Swan basically sold him to the Aes Sedai. He says that specifically. She sold me to the Aes Sedai.
Right. He doesn't.
And this is
he
when
actually
Min
doesn't realize
finally,
what all she has in store for him at that point.
No, he's really interesting. All we know is that he's a big deal, and we know nothing about him basically.
Well, we know he's a man who can channel. We know he's been stilled.
Sure,
we know we know he has an incredible physical presence because he's been able to do things. I mean,
so that's how he's been doing it up to this point, is by overpowering everyone. Yeah,
right. So
we don't know nothing about it.
So given his full capacity, he's a very dangerous man. That much we do know. It's just a matter of, is he going to be allowed to return to any of that? he's not going to be allowed to return to being able to channel. That much is given. But if he gains his full facility, he still seems to be a really dangerous guy. And here he is in the midst of all these Aes Sedai, and Swan has these grand plans for him.
But he's going to go crazy. Diplomat.
No, he's not. He's been separated
because he's
from,
been stilled. No, he's going to kill himself. It's like what do they said about people that have
viewing? Well, I was about to say Min's viewing says he's got future glory coming to him.
No, true. I know that, but everybody else that has been stilled has met dire ends.
But we know from Min's viewings that that's not in the cards for him.
No, we know that a crown is in the cards for him, but that doesn't matter. He could get a crown and then die as well. Well, he's gonna have some.
How close to getting a crown do you think he is?
Do you think that crown is literal?
Not. Close.
Okay, so it's going to take some time for that to happen, which means he has some time in front of him.
No, Dave, I don't think the crown is literal. I don't think they're going to name him King Nothing. But I do think that he is going to redeem himself somehow, even though I don't think he necessarily needs redemption. Do you think he thought he was the Dragon Reborn?
I don't know what to think.
It's very possible that these two men believed that they were the Dragon Reborn.
Yeah.
That's what I was wondering.
That is very possible.
They certainly can't believe it anymore.
Right.
And I don't think that you could claim that they shouldn't think that they are at that point. They hadn't studied as much as Rand. Nobody knew all these prophecies as much as
prior to Rand's pulling Kalendar from the heart of the Stone of Tyr, there is any number of reasons for a man who can channel to believe that he could be the Dragon Reborn.
With the exception of the most important one that would have been of significance, which was being born on the slopes of Dragonmount. They were born on
Dragonmount. So that would require specific knowledge of that element of
the
that's what I was
cycle. Saying. Yeah.
So Min reveals to Swan a weaving that she has seen of Bryn, an aura of a bull ripping roses from its neck. And then she specifies that aura is that if Swan and Bryn are separated, either one will die.
Crazy.
And then it appears Swan will be having Min perform all of the tasks that Bryn requires of her over these next several months.
Our girl Min.
Swan is just going to pass off all of her manual labor onto Min.
Yeah, that poor girl.
Min just appears now to either be in love with Rand, to be like, oh wait, doom is going to happen, and now to do chores.
So that's another good question. How is Min going to get back to Rand?
She should just sneak away.
She's sure
at this point.
That's going to be hard
because she's going to be about the
500-600 people there. Go off to do the laundry, chuck it to the side, and take off.
Yeah, she should. I totally agree with that. I think that's a great plan.
She's thought about that a number of times and decided against it for very good reason.
She did swear an oath, but once again, she didn't say when she had to fulfill that oath.
Right. She's already broken that oath. I mean,
not technically.
Not technically. Any judge would say that she'd broken that oath. She has not fulfilled it.
I know.
The expectation was that she would start fulfilling it immediately, and she did not. Right? They haven't been working as Gareth Bryn's body servants for the last several weeks, right?
No, they haven't been, but now he's there again, and this promise is going to be fulfilled. Is basically what the Aes Sedai are saying about their punishment.
Oh yeah, they're saying it's going to be fulfilled.
Min was the one that didn't want to. Min was the one that didn't want to actually do
getting this done, right? It's a further barrier against her getting to Rand.
Yes, absolutely. I don't know how she could get to him at this point, other than running away.
And apparently, Rand needs her because he keeps mentioning she's the only rational person.
She does. It's sprinkled in there, and it just happened this past.
And anytime he comes up in a conversation between Elaine, he's like, "Min never does this stuff."
Yeah,
and it happens. It's been happening more and more frequently.
He basically is like, Min is the one with the head on her shoulders, or Min just wouldn't be causing this kind of ruckus, basically, is what he's saying.
Right. Yeah.
Which I find funny. I guess it does make sense, because that is kind of Min's personality.
Yeah, she's level-headed. She's down to earth. She's not pretentious at all. And she's a smitten kitten for Rand.
Well, she is.
Can you imagine that, though?
So fast.
Well, She foresaw that it
agree.
was going to happen.
I know. Well, yeah.
Think about that for a moment. You just found out this is the man you're going to fall heads over heels in love with the day you met him.
Don't you feel like that's what is happening with Avienda?
Well, yeah, but she didn't know.
I feel like she did.
How?
Because she went into Reudian.
Oh, you think it just started happening just then?
I don't know.
I think it's been a gradual process.
I feel like, first of all, she has pressure from the wise ones. Second, I feel like she has some sort of future information about being with Rand.
Well, they haven't revealed any of the Reudian stuff.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing with Moiraine.
Yeah.
What's going on with her?
Chapter 29, Memories of Saldea.
Onwards and upwards.
So we pivot to our good friend Kadir, who is lying in his cart and fingering a note that he's recently received that says, "You are not alone among strangers. A way has been chosen." He believes the note to be given by an Aiel woman.
Yeah, a woman.
We learned that Kadir is from Saldea. He's been to Tar Valon before as a dark friend. Sinclair Dahl has been given instructions by Lanfear.
Whoever that is.
Yeah, who is that?
It's Sinclair Dahl.
It's whoever that person is.
It's one of Lanfear's minions. So
First
his name's
we've ever
Sinclair
heard of
Dahl. We get nothing other than that.
All right, thanks, Dahl.
Lanfear's primary task to Kadir was to watch Natail and Rand. He's been using Asandra to watch Rand and Natail, though she can only just get close enough to Natail. As we've witnessed, she's had a really hard time getting up close to Rand. Kadir urges Asandra to approach Rand, and she reveals that she's been shaved and beaten with nettles and threatened with worse should she try again. So
it could be worse.
At this point, Kadir realizes that she's been broken by the maidens, and so he kills her.
That was
just like he killed his sister.
Surprising. That was real surprising.
Caught off guard by that moment.
That's a little bit
I
like...
just love the fact that it's just like, oh, wait, and then he has a rope.
That's a little bit like the
or
Garrett in the
neckerchief.
Phantom of the Opera, where it just suddenly appears above her and kills her.
What on earth are you talking about, Eric?
Phantom of the Opera, the Phantom's noose. That's how he kills people, is this noose or this Garrett. Well, it's not quite
It's not a Garrett. Garrett's a thin
the
wire.
noose appears from midair and catches people and strangles them.
In this case, it's a handkerchief. Not a handkerchief, a neckerchief, or whatever you want to call it. A
I
scarf.
think it's just
That's
a
the word I'm
rope.
looking for.
Chapter 30, A Wager. The width of the Galen River gives us another indication that we're in this weird, like, post-summer, early autumn phase where everything is dry. And we're heading into another weird seasonal time, just like we experienced in Eye of the World.
It isn't even just a weird seasonal time. I think just whatever season that we're in is going awry.
Yes, it's getting really, really hot and dry. Rand is now embarrassed by the trajectory of Moiraine's behavior toward him. Like, she's getting embarrassing for him to be around now with how obsequious she is.
Well, maybe if you weren't such a jerk.
Part of that is his problem, for sure.
Look what you did, you little jerk, Rand.
Rand muses on his Tel'aran'rhiod effect on those around him over the last couple of days. I'm sure these crazy things that have been happening around him have been happening for a while. I like
that people are falling on soft grass.
Yeah, falling on soft grass is good in any situation.
Unless you're allergic to grass.
The Jindo then lead Dorian and Estion to Rand.
These are the guys that were playing cards with Matt, correct?
They are. These are the guys that were playing cards with Matt and watched the Bubble of Evil and the card fight.
Man, that was a great moment.
And they claimed not to see it. They just acted like they didn't see it.
I wouldn't.
They were in the cups.
The Tyrans seem to be in control of two Kyrianan lords, Lieutenant Maresin and Lieutenant Lord Darkin.
You think that's what it is? That they have them under...
They're the commanding.
I think they think they
officers in the situation. Okay. I mean, they describe a Kyrian under siege by the Shaido for a few days.
See, if Rand had just traveled,
and it won't survive much longer. And they're out searching for help for the city. They tell Rand he's about 7 days away from Kyrian.
I love the IO are like,
no, they do not tell him that. They tell him that he's 10 to 12, and then he asks Rurar.
The IO are like,
he whittles him down. He whittles him down. So Rand tells Dorian to take his group and tell the Kyrianan that help is on the way. And Dorian makes a wager with Rand that Sulin stakes him for.
That was awesome.
After raising the wager to 10,000 gold crowns by weight,
I'll see
they will arrive there within those 7 days.
Yeah.
You're right, Dave. That's fantastic.
Yeah, and Rand's
that,
like,
that
I don't have a
she
pot to
just
piss
reminds
in,
him.
Right.
let alone any of that. How am I going to pay that? And then they reveal that he's got all these cash reserves that he knows nothing about.
So
Over
on
the
the
top,
one hand, the Aiel don't treat their king like a king. They don't treat the Karakarn like a king. On the other hand, Rand is their political leader, so it would make sense that he would have some sort of cash reserves. And it turns out he does.
I guess it only makes sense if you think about it.
He also, by the way, should have some money because he's also the Lord of Tyr, right?
I'm sorry, I wasn't like Tom in thinking about this.
Right.
but
I never
Eric is more
actively,
like Tom.
I've never actively thought about it because I had no context to think about it in.
Well, on the one hand, it's understandable that Rand presumes himself poor, but on the other hand, he is leading an army of thousands and has conquered another country.
Yeah. He just doesn't seem to have ever had any moment to take an interest and or think about that up until literally right now.
He doesn't need to because he keeps commanding people.
Yeah. But how, I mean, I guess they're all just giving him food.
He's never had need for any money because he's telling people what to do.
Well, he did up until
Rand has
Tyr.
actually thought about
money
in his life.
He hasn't thought about it, but he hasn't had to because he's been a
sure
king
did when
everywhere.
he and Matt were wandering on the road to
when they were sickly and trying to get to Camelin.
Camelin, yeah.
But that was a month and a half ago. So
that was great.
3 weeks ago.
No, that was a year ago.
So Rand figures out that, you know, as somebody who is the lord of a nation and actually now the lord of 2 nations, he has some cash reserves. So good for you. Rand sends out a scouting party of Thunderwalkers to trail the Tyran and Kyrianan to see how the Shaido are arranged out there outside of Kyrian. And that wraps up chapter 30. So Adam, what shook your willow?
So my willow was shaken by the fact that Rand, when he's in, what do you call it, Ironrod, he has this crazy power of being able to control the weather. And then he thinks to himself that he might know more about the power than some of the Forsaken.
When this weather thing occurs, he brings it up to Asmodean, and Asmodean doesn't really have any answers for him. So from that, he draws the conclusion it's quite possible that there are some things that he knows how to do that the Forsaken don't. And that gives him some confidence going into what he sees as probably being some conflicts with them in the very near future.
I know he's the Dragon Reborn and everything, but he's been able to do this so fast to be able to gain power that's beyond them, who have been around forever.
So my willow moment of the week this week was Min seams a collar around Edisina's neck. So they're there in Saladar, and she sees the Shan-Chan collar around somebody's neck, which the last time that she saw stuff involving the Shan-Chan around people, the Shan-Chan swooped in shortly thereafter. So does that mean that the Shan-Chan are going to be attacking Saladar soon? This woman is going to be collared sometime soon.
Yeah.
Well, collared and broken.
Yes.
That's the most important part.
Well, not to me, it's not. The most important part is it's very possible that somehow the Shan-Chan are going to invade Saladar sometime soon.
Well, if you're sticking a time frame to when her events are going to happen.
Right. I'm just saying it's possible. That's a terrifying thought.
By that logic, though, Logain's about to become a king.
I'm not worried about that. I'm
I
not
don't
worried.
know.
That's
Do
more.
you think that the crown represents him being a king?
I don't, but something involving power over other people, perhaps, or great glory, power, that sort of thing. I think she says.
Oh, it's interesting. I
Hey,
figured that it was.
this is my willow.
Hey, you hijack our willows all the time.
Logain was just going to be that he's a good dude.
Well, he's got glory. I mean, what Min concludes from this is that he's got glory coming to him sometime in the future.
But
that's
think
what the clown.
of the glory.
Right.
Glory
Exactly.
hand.
However, in the meantime, there might be a Shan-Chan attack on Saladar.
Yeah.
That would be the world's most random place for the Shan-Chan
What
to
are they
attack.
doing right now?
Well, they are relatively close to the coast.
Who do
They're
they
2
have to
days
go
journey
through
from
first
the
to get
coast.
there?
They're closer
the
than
White
they are in
Cloaks.
Tarvalon. Yes.
Well, depending on which side of the river, I don't know which side of the river who's on which.
No, they would. It would
Do
have
you
to be
think
an
that
inland
the Shan-Chan
invasion.
and the White
I'm worried
Cloaks
about it.
Do you think the Shan-Chan and the White Cloaks are going to get together?
No.
I don't foresee
The Shan-Chan
that
aren't
happening.
getting together with anybody on this continent.
Well, I mean,
I don't
yeah,
know.
no, I don't. Unless it's a dark friend White Cloak, I don't really foresee it happening. In there.
So
I don't know.
I don't know how the Shan-Chan are getting there, but it just seems really, really possible.
I'm happy for this woman that she's
fairly
getting set free, though, because
Well, right, but
that's big.
We don't know how many other people Min hasn't seen visions of that won't be set free.
Yeah.
These women have enough problems coming at them. The Sean Chan would be probably one too many.
Yeah, they'd be overwhelmed. There's not enough of them, I don't think.
What shook your willow, Dave?
Oh.
For me, it was just how rapidly Gareth Bryn decided to lead this army. There's clearly something going on with Bryn and Swan, or Bryn towards Swan, let's say. She apparently hates him with everything that is in her being.
Well, she's frustrated by the fact
And
that
now she's got to do his laundry.
he has the right to essentially imprison her, or at least tie her to him.
But the guy was retired. Now, retired not by his own
not
will.
Retired. The guy was put out
He
to
was put out to
pasture.
pasture. Well,
he was retired by
he
someone
was retired
else.
by
He was fired.
And that's really interesting. We get some, that's not really germane to this whole thing, but just how he got there and the differences of, I wonder what it is that Morghese forgot as to why she sent him out. I would like to think it was when Ravine showed up and then, tainted her mind, but
that
who
makes
knows?
sense.
It does make sense. But we don't have an accurate
that totally
timeline,
makes sense.
just like many things in here.
So it hasn't been that long. We were discussing
No,
that,
it hasn't been
actually.
that long.
So, but he was sent out to pasture, but he seemed like he was doing okay with it. But a guy like that, one of the 5 great captains, can't be just content sitting around twiddling his thumbs. But he just does this really quickly. Yep, okay, I'm going to lead the army. Here's my list of demands.
By the way,
What changed your mind so fast? A pair of pretty eyes.
Yep.
That's all he keeps referencing. Her eyes, they must be like the world's most attractive eyes ever. Because he left behind his lands and his people to lead this army, which could end in certain death. And it could end up in certain death for a couple ways. One, if they hang him out to dry and abandon the task that has been sent to do, which could, we know Aes Sedai.
it's one of the promises he had them make to
Yes,
him.
I understand it's the promise they made, but we all know Aes Sedai, and they will do things for their own purpose. And if it's to their own purpose to do that, they could do it. Or if they lose the war, he's dead.
I don't think there's any doubt that there's an attraction to Swan. From
Yeah,
him.
he says you will discover the kind of man I am.
That's
Right, I'll take you over my knee.
Right. I mean, that's been building, and we understand that. But the other really interesting thing,
It hasn't been building for that long.
Not long at
What
all.
are you talking about? That's been building.
Been building for like the chapters
we're halfway
that we hear
through the
about
book.
him.
We're halfway through the book.
Yeah, but we
at
haven't had
this
that many
point.
instances of them talking about that.
This has been a major plot point for this book, and we're halfway through it at this point. So it's been building for half this book, is what I mean. At first, we weren't quite sure what was going on, and as this narration has gone on, it's become clearer and clearer that he's attracted to her.
Yeah, but I would have thought you find out that she's Swan Sanche, and there goes wah wah. There goes the attraction.
Well, I think
right
there probably
there.
was a moment of that, but
I think he likes
seems
powerful women.
He seems to have moved past it.
He might.
Let's do a little in dreams here, because we get a lot of Egwene in the dream, right?
A lot.
I mean, most of chapter 25 is comprised of that.
Yeah, 25. Because it's called Dreams.
Right. Oddly.
God.
So there seems to be a difference of
Dreams of salad.
or as Adam likes to call it, dreams of ribeye. There seems to be a difference of opinion.
Loin Dave.
There seems to be a difference of opinion between Egwene and Elaine as to how Rand is acting as they have this conversation in the dream. Egwene thinks he's being arrogant, but Elaine thinks he's being just in the way that he's acting, making decisions. And we've made comments. I mean, specifically, Dave, you've made comments about Rand's arrogance. Does Elaine have a point here about the justice of Rand's actions?
I think they're both right. She's going to know more about that than Egwene does because she comes from the court, so she understands how a ruler is and you can make these decisions. But Egwene knows the man Rand, and he knows the changes that he's gone through, and she knows when Rand is being arrogant and when he isn't. Elaine doesn't, and also, by the way, is head over heels in love with him. So she's going to defend him to a point, probably to a fault. I think Egwene knows that Rand is being arrogant, but he might have a justification in some of the arrogance that he has. I don't like the path he's going down, but I think there probably is a level of justification for some of it, just probably not as much as the way he's handling it.
How much time has Elaine and Rand spent together?
Tyr.
Physically?
Probably
Maybe
4 or 5
weeks.
weeks at the most.
Oh, you think that many?
I was thinking like 3, but yeah.
I don't think she knows Rand whatsoever.
I mean, they were smooching.
They were smooching.
Don't forget that during that time that we know that in addition to canoodling,
She was instructing him.
that the two of them were talking about
They were talking
politics. And he even thought to himself that he had learned some things from her, and she also, I think, was impressed with the way that he exited Tyr and the way that he handled himself there politically.
Oh, that's very true. Yeah, because it was very.
It was enough time to be able to get a pretty good impression and fall in love with him.
Well, she was already kind of in love with him.
She's a pretty good judge of somebody's actions and recognizing whether or not they're
She's a pretty solid
politically
head on her
savvy.
shoulder.
I think that that's what's going on here. Yeah, I agree that her objectivity is probably as compromised as Egwene's is, but she can also recognize politically savvy moves where I think Egwene is far more to lean toward, oh, that Rand, he's just wool-headed and being arrogant again.
I think Egwene is turning more and more Aes Sedai as we have found as well. So she's going to side with the White Tower over Rand.
I don't know that any of this has to do with the White Tower.
I agree with you. I'm concerned about that, but they haven't come into conflict here.
Rand is changing.
They have.
There's no two ways about it. I don't like the way that he's changing. I think some of the way he's changing, he has to.
Yeah,
but I don't like the way he's handling it.
I think that's a good summary of it. Is he's changing, and we don't necessarily like the way that he's changing, but some of it is a change out of necessity.
I think Eric brought this up a couple podcasts ago. Rand is changing, and it's sad.
He's going through changes.
Yeah, he's just Ozzy Osbourning it.
He's vocal harmonizing it.
Yeah, I'm agreeing with the decisions he's making to a
So
point.
am
I just don't like the way he's making them.
His relationship with Egwene is certainly, challenging, and she's challenged in the way that she relates to him. She's in a tough spot in another way too. She wants the tower whole, but she does not see a way that will exist with Elaida as Amerlin and Rand's need for support from the Aes Sedai. So how is that test of the need for unity and yet the problem of Elaida going to sort of play itself out with Egwene? You were talking about she's becoming more and more Aes Sedai. That's going to become a bigger and bigger problem with her relationship with Rand and her wanting to be Aes Sedai and this whole issue of moving closer to that end of the spectrum.
What?
I think
you don't think they can mutually coexist?
Not right now.
Well, right now she isn't exactly Aes Sedai, so
yeah, she isn't.
She's telling everyone she is.
Right.
This is very true. I think it's going to set up room for growth for her. I mean, we've seen Nynaeve grow, we've seen Egwene grow as well, but they're all going to have to deal with the fact that this woman is in power. I don't know how long she's going to be in power for, though.
I don't know, but I think we're going to have a war between the two towers.
Way,
and someone's
whoever's in charge there, they're gonna be
someone's gonna lead the other tower
happy with it. Yeah,
and they've got. Well, we know. I mean, is there going to be any doubt that which tower Egwene's going to go with when she aligns? No, she's going to go with the other one, the split tower, and that's a big chip they're going to have. That split tower. They're going to have Egwene, who's connected to Rand al'Thor. You don't get much bigger than that.
We'll see how long Elaida lasts. I don't even know if it's ever going to get to that point. And
I think whoever takes over for Elaida is going to be even worse than she is.
I think it's going to take a lot to get Elaida out of there.
Yeah, it's hard to even talk about that because for this little tiny town,
she's a tyrant.
To attack the White Tower, which is what
Gareth
they're proposing to do. Yeah, that's it.
No. I'm saying.
But that isn't just it.
That's the only way it'll happen.
More importantly,
there's nobody in the tower.
Dark friend.
Why would? If I'm a dark friend, I'm loving what Elaida is doing. I'm not looking to create any waves.
Well,
why wouldn't you want to have a dark friend?
First of all, we've concluded that Alviara
we already know they have
friend.
one. Yeah,
and she's
running a lot of the show.
She's perfectly happy to be number 2.
In as much as she's number 2, she's kind of number 1.
Why wouldn't you want to have number 1?
Because number 1 is the one who has to deal with all the problems.
Yeah,
she's really the VP essentially.
No, she's
in
way more
title
powerful.
she's the VP, but she's I mean,
No, I'm
she's
saying
controlling
if
these
the
meetings.
Amerlin died, wouldn't she be the next Amerlin?
I actually don't think there's they vote
right,
on somebody.
No, it would go up for a revote.
They'd
but
have to vote.
But
Yeah.
she's,
Okay.
I guarantee you, Alviarin's going to do everything she can to keep Elida alive. She wants Elida in that seat because she can do all sorts of stuff behind Elida's back, and Elida is going to get blamed for any sorts of snafus that she creates.
Well, she was also doing stuff behind Swan's back
Right.
as well. So.
She has no problem continuing on doing what she's doing.
I
think
will
they're
say,
more
though,
than happy to have Elida there.
I think you're underestimating this little tower, other town. They've got Logain, another huge thing, and they're going to be meeting the leaders with Logain, saying the Red Aja set Logain up as a false dragon, which is going to cast aspersions on the Red Aja, which is Elida, who runs the other tower. That's huge.
That is true.
They're going to get the support of the nations behind them.
We'll see how effective that is.
I think it's going to be very effective.
It's a great idea.
Speaking of Elida, what sort of leadership handbook is Elida reading from? Isn't she doing the opposite of everything we know of any leadership handbook today? She's punishing women who were overwhelmed by Elaine and Nynaeve and creating her own palace.
Right, she's literally building her own.
Right.
I mean, she might as well make a memorial to herself.
Right, she's literally distancing herself from her entire constituency.
This is what I've been telling you all along. This woman is Looney Tunes baby. And not only that, she's so power hungry and so egotistical. And yet, oddly enough, she's not, as we don't think, a dark friend, which is hysterical.
She's guilty of being sadistic and cruel, and now politically ignorant.
She's creating her own reality and buying into it.
You don't set yourself up as a tyrant over the political body that you're supposed to be in charge of. If anything else, you want to make them think that you're at their level so that they until the point where you need to sort of lay down the law. But she's creating all sorts of problems for herself. So just a second ago, I was saying that that it's unlikely that there will be a revolution within the tower, and yet now I'm thinking, no, it's completely possible that there would be a revolution within the tower.
I don't foresee that. She's got such a stranglehold on people, and she will just blot out anything.
That's understandable, but that only works until the entire...
That only works
if
as
we
long
want to
as
use
fear
the Communist
lasts.
Manifesto, until the entire proletariat or the whole working class goes, screw this. We're not settling for this level of leadership anymore.
But we've never seen that happen in any examples we've gotten in the history of the tower as we know it.
No, I'm just talking about just what we know of human behavior.
But Aes Sedai aren't normal human behaviorists. They just aren't.
I mean, they were saying the tower has to be whole. I mean, those women have literally said, we'll do whatever to make the tower whole. And that includes giving up personal liberty, apparently. They're willing to take these weird punishments that they don't have any reason to be taking. What you're saying is what Elida is doing isn't stupid because it's 100% certain she can get away with it. You would say it's fine.
No. I think we're giving her too much credit there by saying that.
I don't think she has a plan. What is her plan?
I kind of agree with you, Adam. I think she has an idea of what she wants to do, but she doesn't know what she's doing. It's like, I think I know what to do, but I don't know how to get there.
I think what she wanted to do was to take over the tower, and then now she has it, and she's like,
Yeah, cool. I mean, she didn't
Rand.
be part of the whole thing was
Rand.
having Rand, and she doesn't have Rand.
She
doesn't have the whole tower whole.
Control. That's all she wants.
Yes,
she wants control.
Except that Alviarin appears to have the control.
And she wants to. It seems like she wants to be worshipped.
Yes.
So she's working her way there. All I'm saying is that when you're illicitly risen from a body that knows how you got there, how you created your coup. And then everybody else around you isn't really that big of a fan of you to begin with, and you start creating a tyrant out of yourself, you're heading down the road of a civil war.
Yes,
Anyone know
but
what
that
the
civil war, I
triptych
think,
is
is from the external, not going to be from the internal.
Let's talk a little bit more about Swan, because she is really
Swans Upon a Time?
She's really in the cook pot here. So yeah, we're going to move on to Swans Upon a Time.
Really? You think she's in the cook pot?
It all depends on what you mean by that. Yeah, I think she's in a pressure cooker. I think that she's feeling the stress of trying to accomplish the goals that she has while also juggling Bryn and the Aes Sedai. I think she has a plan for that. So Sheriam agrees that what was done to Swan narrowly followed the letter of the law, which we've sort of believed to be the fact up to this point, and we finally get confirmation here that
by the skin of their teeth, they made it happen.
Yeah, and by saying that, what she's really pointing toward is this didn't need to be done.
And probably if it went to the whole tower, it probably wouldn't have gotten done.
Right. So this was definitely a manipulation of the system. The thing that I want to know is Swan really fighting for the Aes Sedai here? Is this vengeance that she has really for the purposes of the White Tower, or does she just have a controlling need to be in charge?
Well, there's no question, because she kind of talks about, having vengeance on the Reds. So I'm sure part of that is there, but her mission has been the same all along. She had that mission. She wants to see that mission to fruition. Otherwise, her whole life's work has been for nothing.
But is she doing anything at this point?
The mission to fruition?
Is she doing anything at this point to advance the cause of Rand?
Well, she just got there.
But we know what her plans are. She's not even talking any longer about Rand.
I don't think that's all she's doing. I think that's forthcoming. I firmly believe that is going to be part of what she chooses to do. We're just at step 1, and that's like step 3 or step 4. We just haven't gotten that far yet, because she can't do those things yet. She has nobody's ear to catch. These people are rudderless, as she keeps saying.
I don't understand what her plan is here at all.
Well, what her plan is at this point is she is seeking to take down the tower and take down the Reds. That's her plan,
right?
And
yes, that's her plan.
She's going to use
Logain
Logain to get there. Well, I hope it's only part of her plan. Jordan hasn't given us word one about the overall plan for and the importance of Rand since she has left the tower.
Do you think that she would all of a sudden just abandon her entire life mission? From
what I'm suggesting.
From what we know about Swan,
Yep.
Everything we've seen demonstrated about Swan up until this point, you think she would just suddenly abandon everything she's worked for? Because that goes in line with Swan's personality.
Yeah, because I think she's...
There's no evidence to that. There's quite evidence on the contrary.
No, we do have evidence. We have the evidence to the fact that she's not mentioned at all any sort of plan to unite the world behind Rand. And it's completely understandable. She was deposed and tortured by these people. It completely makes sense that she would have vengeance on her mind.
Right, but if you think that's the only thing that she thinks about, she would have never been elected to be the leader of the tower.
She's a different person than that.
I don't think she is at all. I don't think she is at all.
Well, that's where we differ. I don't see any indication that she's reverted to that person who puts her own concerns behind her and has the concern of the greater good at the forefront of her mind.
She's shrouded in mystery for me at this point. Lyanna thought to herself that all she cares about, all she has to live for, is the tower. So in terms of that, yeah, it seems like
that would be a very short-sighted.
Swan seems to be thinking it is short-sighted, but I just feel like that's all Swan's focus is.
And Swan's entire life previously has been long-sighted, so there and the two do not mix.
The other concern that I have about Swan is she's decided to do this thing with Logain now, where she is going to use the fact that she's no longer tied to the Three Oaths and lie to the White Tower about how Logain was manipulated by the Reds.
Mm-hmm.
What do we think about the ethical choice that she's making here?
I like it, but it's not great.
She's lying in order to get what she wants.
It's tit for tat is what she's doing.
It's treating one wrong with another.
It's not good. But if it gets Elida off the throne, I'm okay with it, because I hate that woman.
I think it's a terrible choice, and I'm just really, really concerned that this character that we really held on a pedestal because she seemed
You've never held her on a pedestal.
She seemed to hold justice so highly. Now she's resorting to unjust means in order to achieve her goals, let alone...
And this is the second time that it's happening. She swore an oath that she was going to break, and she was like, "Oh, I'm going to come back." And
well, once again,
right,
she is upholding the oath.
Well,
we just don't like the technicality of the oath that she's upholding.
We haven't seen that yet.
The only reason
all we have is the promise.
No, she's not upholding the oath because she's giving it to Min.
What? No.
Oh, right. He's talking about giving Min the wash to do.
Oh,
because she's supposed to be doing Bryn's
that's not
servants.
part. I don't think that's part of her oath. The oath was to serve the time,
Pay it off.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly.
She's not serving.
She still may.
There's that has yet to be seen. It's just.
I thought that she would come back and serve it to begin with.
Oh,
yes.
I believe that she eventually will too. Look, if I was in front of a judge and I was sentenced to prison and then I ran away and they pull me back into court and I said, no, I was going to serve it like 10 years from now, they'd be like, oh, well, okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
When you're sentenced, you're supposed to start serving that sentence right away. I get why she made the oath. I'm just saying morally, it was wrong. That's all.
Yeah, I don't think she could have made that oath if she still were.
I get why she did it, and I get pragmatically why she did what she did. All of it makes sense based on like what her end goals are.
Well, yeah, she went with the greater morality as opposed to the lesser morality.
I'm not so sure she did go with the greater good.
I can't believe the only reason she wanted to find Saladar was just to get her revenge.
And I can, and that's the difference. And neither one of us is going to convince each other of.
Hopefully, the book will.
Other one. The last thing that I'll end on here is, while we're all in agreement that none of us like anybody that we know from the Red Aja, her goal is the disbandment of the Red Aja, which I don't really find acceptable.
Well, what purpose does it serve anymore?
We don't know what life will be like after Tarman Gaiden, but the purpose that it served up to this point, regardless of whether or not we've liked the women that we've run into that have been in it, has been important. And that is to track down those men that are going to go mad and destroy their villages at the very least. The unity of the tower has been really important. And one of her primary objectives here is to get rid of one of the Ajas.
Well, I think getting rid of might be not as good as they need a different focus now.
But she wants to get rid of them. She
wants to get rid of them for revenge, and also the fact that I also don't think they serve a purpose anymore. If that's the case, you can't just get rid of these women that can channel. You just need to give them a different focus. But do you honestly believe the Reds would accept a different focus in their life? I don't.
That's a different thing. You can't convict somebody because you think that they might not accept the terms that you're going to give them. You have to at least provide the terms and give them the opportunity to make a decision. This isn't Minority Report. All right, Fear of the Dark, Hadnan Kadir.
Creepy Kadir.
What was Hadnan Kadir's original Dark Friend mission? I don't mean his first one.
You mean
what was the mission that
sent
him to the waste? How did that assemble itself? Asmodean and Lanfear come to him and are like, hey, we're a couple of really important Dark Friends, and we need you to follow us into the Aiel Waste. And he's like, yeah.
I mean, he was apparently important enough that he got suckered into this not great quest.
I mean, does he need to be important enough, or does he just need to be the right person at the right place?
Well, he's got the right skills because he's directly talking with the Forsaken, and they don't do that with just anybody.
Don't Dark Friends seem to be pretty disposable?
They only care about him so much as they serve their purpose, it seems.
Couldn't he just have been like the closest merchant to either one of these two Forsaken?
I guess, but they need him to be someone who's unnoticeable. He's got a certain skill set that they need.
Wouldn't the skill set be he has a merchant train?
Yeah, but he's got to keep what's-her-face, Essendra, in line also. I think that's part of his duties.
Well, that's the other thing is, what is Essendra doing in there?
She's there because she's good-looking.
You know you have to use a merchant train. The merchants are the only ones that can get into the waste unmolested. Right. So it has to be a merchant. So the original plan is to take this merchant into the waste, ride shotgun with him. He has no idea that he's traveling with Forsaken. He just knows he's traveling with a couple of really close Dark Friends. It's just a weird journey for him.
Oh, you think he still doesn't know who Lanfear is? I thought he mentions that he's
been visited by Lanfear, but he doesn't know that Lanfear was Kylie Shiaoga.
All right, so he doesn't know that Kylie was Lanfear.
Rand thought that Kadir was a Forsaken. Now that we know that he isn't, how dangerous do we think he is? Because he's still around. He's still there in that group.
That's that skill set I'm talking about.
He's dangerous enough to kill his sister.
Yeah.
And Essendra.
Right.
And casually doing so.
I don't think Rand has no scruples when it comes to murder.
I don't think Rand was wrong when he initially sized him up.
Is he going to murder Moiraine? Is that what this is going to come down to? He's going to be the one to murder Moiraine?
Wow, okay.
Wow.
I mean, we know Moiraine. We thought that Moiraine was going to die, and he's a murderer. I think we
if
also...
this
all
book
admit-
kills
so
Moiraine
mad.
at the hands of that buffoon, I'm going to be really
so
disappointed. I really hope it's not him. Yes, I think he's dangerous, and I think Rand was 100% correct when he sized him up initially. He may have thought he might have been the Forsaken, but he was no less dangerous when he sized him up, and he said he was a dangerous person, and he is.
And now he's guarding Moiraine's artifacts.
Yeah, great. Well, at least there's, a bunch of
no
wise
big
ones
deal.
around watching, too.
Do you think there's
yeah.
a dark friend wise one?
Oh, that wouldn't surprise me.
That wouldn't surprise me either.
I think there's dark friends everywhere.
I mean, if you were going to have a dark friend, why wouldn't you want to have a wise one be one of the dark friends?
Yeah, I mean, if they're in the Aes Sedai, they're probably in the Shan-Chan. They're probably in the sea people, the sea folk. They're probably in the Aiel, and the wise ones are going to be everywhere.
The last question that I have for Kadir is: if you were doing the new Amazon show and you were going to cast Kadir, who would you cast as Kadir?
Dave, I thought you were going to go with a child catcher.
He's not fat enough.
If
The
you're
child
gonna-
catcher's not fat enough.
All right, so my casting is John Candy.
That's too fat. Though he is surprisingly nimble.
He's
Wow,
deceased.
I love it.
John Candy is surprisingly, but I think he's too jovial.
Well, that'd be perfect for Kadir.
No, Kadir's not jovial.
Jovial seeming. But John Candy doesn't seem jovial in JSK, Daddy-O.
JSK? Is that
No,
a new word?
JFK.
Yeah, I could go with Jonah Hill. Hill because
Okay.
he's played some serious roles.
All right.
And he's been slightly devious in some of those serious roles.
All right. Adam, who were you going to go with?
Horatio
Sands.
The husband from Roseanne.
John Goodman?
John Goodman? Oh,
Goodman.
Okay, a
Absolutely.
sleeper
He's
pick.
a fantastic actor. Could
Yeah.
do a really, really evil character very well.
and he's
No.
alive.
I've got it. It's Milton from Office Space. Better yet, Wayne Knight.
I don't know who Wayne
Yes,
is.
you do know who Wayne Knight. It's Newman.
Wayne Knight?
Sure,
Wayne
I
Knight
can
or
do that.
John Candy, I think, would have been amazing.
Dave definitely nailed it with his choices.
All right.
Go with the Waynster.
Who was your Copland of the week, Dave?
Mine is Phelan.
Phelan.
Yes,
All right.
the accepted, who has somehow ended up with the Rebel Tower.
Who saw that?
No one.
So can you give us the history of Phelan?
Well, she was one of the accepted that was giving Elaine and Egwene such a hard time in the tower.
I think she was the one when they arrived at the tower that took them in from Varen.
She's not like them ever then. And so somehow she's ended up with the rebels.
Yeah.
But she's petulant as ever. Yeah. And she doesn't like the duties that she was assigned to do and was giving them gruff while she was taking those two, Leon and Swan in. And she's just still annoying.
She's always bringing people to leadership.
Yeah.
That's
right.
her role. She's
But
the
grumpily
go-between.
so.
Yeah. I did not think I would have seen her here. I thought
No.
for sure she would have stayed with the tower.
Yeah, I would have hoped she would have. She wants to be a red.
She wants to be a red, right? Which makes sense. She
Yeah.
seems like she belongs there.
Yeah.
Good choice. I like that. Mine was
That is a fantastic choice, Dave.
mine was Kadir.
Thank you. Well, yeah, I mean, that's, yeah.
He killed his sister.
And he bumped off the hot chick,
And
his sister.
he bumped off Isendra. So
even with no hair.
she gone.
She still looks good with no hair and welts all over her.
She did look good with no hair. Now she looks rotted.
Unlike Britney Spears. That was a bad call.
Well, I mean, I get it. Let's just say Britney Spears was going through a lot at that time. Dave.
She had some
She was
interesting
dealing
life
with a lot.
choices
And
at that
she
point.
she probably wasn't totally lucid all the time either.
No, she was getting drugged by her manager.
Yes.
So there's that. Don't get drugged by your manager.
And then
always a
shave your
good
head.
life choice. Who was your Copland of the week, Adam?
Mine is Isandra. What was the point of her in these books?
To die.
She was supposed to
Your
bed
point
Rand.
is to die.
That is it.
She was supposed to charm Rand.
Yeah.
Yeah, she didn't do well.
She was supposed to
Well,
slinky
she ran up
slinky
against
into
the-
his binky binky.
She ran up against the Aiel women. I mean, that's not a good match.
She ran up against the Spear Maidens, yeah.
And they're going to take you down every time and twice on Sunday.
They are going to win.
Yep.
Like Mario. I'm
Yeah.
going to win.
Yeah.
I just think she was here and then she died horribly. Well, she died quickly. but
in as much as asphyxiation is a slow death.
She died somewhat swiftly. She died with a purple face.
Yeah.
So long, Ascendra. We hardly knew you.
But we liked looking at you when we did.
Some people did. Who leveled up? Dave.
Hadnan Kadir. Yeah, because
Kadir.
Kadir.
Okay, sure. Yeah.
I mean, he's
a bad man.
He's a bad man. I don't think he really wanted to do what he had to do to kill her, but he did it.
Well, he did it.
Because he did it, and, it's probably not pleasant thinking about his sister that he murdered and all that sort of stuff, but
clearly not.
He's a man on a mission, and he follows his mission, and he did what he had to do.
No matter
sadly.
what.
Yeah.
No matter what. I don't think it's going to end well for him. He's made some bad life choices.
I'm fairly certain it's not. He's in a camp full of Aiel and the Dragon Reborn, and he's a Dark Friend.
Well, but fortunately for him, Rand doesn't want anybody to know who the Dark Friends are because he's worried that that'll lead to the unveiling of Asmodeus.
But now there's only 2.
And one of them is a Forsaken.
And Rand needs him. Doesn't need Hadnan Kadir.
He doesn't, but he does need Hadnan Kadir to stay quiet about his suspicions of who...
Well, there's a way for him to particularly be quiet.
The Gleeman
is to be dead.
I don't think Rand's going to kill him.
Well, I mean, that's what they do with Dark Friends.
Well, they do,
They shoot horses, don't they? Well, they certainly kill Dark Friends.
I don't think
Good
Rand
movie.
is going to kill any Hadnan Kadir anytime soon, unless Kadir does something else. For me, Garth Bryn leveled up, taking the Aes Sedai by the reins, which is something we have yet to really see anybody do. Rand's tried plenty of times and maybe been mildly successful a time or two with one Aes Sedai specifically.
Hit a time, everywhere at a time.
Garth Bryn has been successful with an entire cadre of Aes Sedai. Kudos to you for laying down the law, setting your expectations, and getting all of your bargaining maneuvers, Bryn.
Yeah, he thought he would get just maybe the last he'd be
was
settled
willing
with.
to
He got
settle.
it all.
Yeah, he had it all like Bogey and Bacall. That's the vocal lyric.
There you go, Bogey and Bacall.
You leveled up for me, Garth Bryn. Way to go. 3 cheers.
Hip, hip.
Hooray!
Yay.
Who leveled up for you, Adam?
Liana did this week.
Oh.
Ooh, Liana.
We're going with some deep cuts here.
Why is that?
Yeah.
You like the cut of her jib?
I just like the fact
No,
that
that'd be
she
Swan.
brought
Swan's
up
the cut
that
of
they
the
need
jib.
to...
True.
No, she's not in a boat. Yeah.
She's not cutting any jibs?
No, I like the fact that she says that they need to give the world a true Amyrlin at this point, and that they can elect a...
Make it a better place for you.
How many people say
and
that
the
song that
anti-human race. There are people dying. If we care enough for the living,
This
make it a better
podcast
place
has taken
for
an unusual
you.
turn.
Yeah, feed the world.
We just hijacked
During
you, Adam. We're
COVID.
sorry.
I'm not... I think
You're not down
Feed
with
the World
OPP.
song is probably problematic at this point.
Why you say that, Adam?
Feed the world COVID.
I don't know.
infects
There are
and
probably
food.
some folks in that shouldn't be singing.
Good point. Yeah, but
Don't
says
you
it's not
agree with
enough to
him? You
wait.
were just singing
well,
with me.
several of them are dead. So I mean,
Fine, you can
They're not
still be
much to
dead
say
and be a
anymore.
terrible person.
You can't.
no, you can't. That's impossible.
No, everything's wiped clean.
Right, the slate's
Right.
clean. You're dead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what
Communist was a red
purgatory is
herring.
for.
So Liana says they don't have to wait to support the depose of Elida. They should just do it. Elida is a usurper.
Isn't that really
takes in-
Swan saying that? So didn't
No,
Swan
it's
level
Liana.
up? Well,
Liana
it is
Well,
Liana.
it might be Liana's voice
It
saying
is,
it, but maybe
right.
the machinations of Swan.
Yeah.
But nonetheless,
Well, Liana didn't
She's a
know that was
mouthpiece.
Swan's plan to begin with.
No,
and then
she did.
Went,
She did.
No, she did not. She had not known that was Swan's plan. She gave her a small smile when it came out, and then she lays down that it's not enough to wait to have enough support in the hall to depose of Elida. So she takes that and then she runs with it, and good for you. Although now that Eric is saying it's Swan's plan, I'm like, what does that even mean? But good job, Liana, in my opinion.
You look good saying it.
And she was winking while she said it.
You can bet she was winking while she was saying it. So that is our podcast for episode 41. Join us for episode 42 when we'll cover chapters 31 through 36. Until then, may you rest in the Creator's hand.
May you know good hunting, young bull, and she's to give you many cubs.
do vienna se tu vietis again.
Sayonara, Pope.
Pope?
Sayonara Pope.
We're saying goodbye to the Pope?
It's just what came out of my mouth. I was going to say people. And I stopped.
Sorry, this is the Vatican
May you
podcast.
know good hunting, young.
It's Sinead O'Connor's sign off at the end of Saturday Night Live.